Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dream Leapers. I'm your host, Harriette Cole, and we're on location here in New York. I'm so excited. Our guest today is Sue Hitzmann. She is the CEO of Longevity Fitness, Inc. and the founder of the MELT method, which is a simple self-care technique designed to reduce chronic pain, improve mobility, and support the body's connective tissue system, which, did you even know there was such a thing? She's going to tell us all about it. Using her expertise as a wellness advocate and exercise physiologist, Sue has spent decades helping people better understand their bodies and reclaim their physical well-being. Sue is the author of the New York Times bestseller, The MELT Method, MELT, M-E-L-T. It's a guide that empowers people to treat everyday aches and stiffness with gentle movements and specialized tools for just 10 minutes a day. Through her teaching and research, Sue has helped thousands of people learn how to work with their bodies instead of against them. Sue is here with me today to teach us and show us how small daily practices can lead to profound changes in how we feel. Please join me in welcoming Sue Hitzmann. Sue, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And you got me out of my house.
That is shocking, right? For those of us doing things only in our house.
And we have been making Dream Leapers since the pandemic.
Oh yeah.
And I started it because people were in their homes, kind of stuck and needing something. And so we're offering them something. But as a result, we were in our house.
Yeah.
And so now we're out of our house.
That's
it's
why
pretty
I started
cool.
my podcast too.
Isn't it great?
It is. You just needed to talk to people.
Now, I want you to say out loud the name of Sue's podcast. It's so hip. What's it called?
Anatomical Gangster.
I love that. See, look at that. See, she's well branded. What does that mean?
Well, anatomy is to cut things up, complicated things up into small parts so that we can digest them and understand them. So in anatomy, that's what we do. We cut the body up into parts so we understand it. So that's where anatomical.
Let's start that. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. And then gangster, I tend to speak to people, and I feel like I'm a bit of a gangster, is that I tend to go against some of the traditional schools of thought because I came from a very anatomical background. And when I discovered really the missing link to me of pain-free living and longevity being fascia, and realized I didn't know anything about it. And once I started learning about it, it kind of takes all of my anatomical education and kind of crumbles it up, burns it, and
so let's start with what is your anatomical education? Where did you start?
Yeah, so my introduction to all of this was when I was young, and my great-grandmother was very spry and all of a sudden turned into this woman who didn't know who I was.
Oh.
And so I went home to my aunt saying, what happened to great grandma? And she said, she just got old. And I said, are you going to get old? And she said, yeah. I go, am I going to get old? And she said, yes. I said, well, how do you stop that from happening? So
how old were you when you asked that question?
11. And what epitomized health, wellness were people like Jack LaLanne and Jane Fonda. So my background was in fitness. I became a group exercise instructor at the young age of 18. Wow. And then I studied collegiately in exercise science. And by the time I got into my late 20s, I thought I really had a handle on the human body, neuromuscular therapy. I had all this education behind me. And one day I woke up and the bottom of my foot hurt me. I thought I stepped on glass. And the word fascia became important because I heard this term plantar fasciitis. And I kept thinking, inflamed fascia, what's inflamed fascia?
And you were in your 20s.
I was in my late 20s. I was 28 years old, crawling to the bathroom thinking, I'm aging like my great-grandmother, and this is it.
Oh my
my whole life is ended.
So this, that term, plantar fasciitis, you see it on Dr. Scholl's pads in the CVS, right? I mean, we see this term.
Yeah.
I think for myself and other people, if you haven't had it, it's like, oh, that's something other people get, right? But you were 28 and fit.
I was the epitome of fitness. I mean, I was like 11% body fat.
Oh my
I was doing
goodness.
fitness work, and teaching like 28 fitness classes a week. I was healthy. I had a great diet. I slept well. Everything was fine.
So why?
It's a really great question. Why? And today I would say that there was a lot of emotional stuff going on at that time. And I think my foundation of what was going on in my world was shaky. But what I'm to understand of fascia is that this is the supportive infrastructure under our skin that is supporting, protecting, and stabilizing everything, not just our muscles and bones, but our nerves, our blood vessels, our organs. And what we understand in science is just daily living causes stuck stress or accumulative tension in the tissue. And so I went to bed feeling perfectly healthy, and I woke up in the morning and I couldn't stand on my own 2 feet. I was like, what is this in my foot? And what started out as foot pain for me turned into this body-wide ache and fatigue that sent me down this rabbit hole of doctors. And I had one doctor say I needed antidepressants because I was depressed. And I'm like, of course I'm depressed. I'm a fitness professional and I can't walk on my feet. But I wasn't depressed before that. And I had one
How long did it take?
Well, I was in pain for about 2 years before I finally really understood fascia. And it was at that point where I was lucky Google became a thing right in that time. And so I typed in the word fascia on Google and I found about 150 sites. And it turns out about 100 of them actually were not about the human body. They were either about airplane propellers or sticks wrapped in twine, which are fascias. But the ones that were about the human body, I just started doing my own investigation and come to find there was this emerging field of neuroscience and fascial research, not only trying to answer fascia's role in pain, but actually fascia's role in the aging process and longevity. So I've been doing this for 25 years, and I can tell you that the emerging field is really at a precipice now. We're using atomic force microscopy. We're able to look at the very fine structures of fascia, and we can link fascia to anything from fibrotic diseases, cancer metastasis. We're really learning a lot about disorders and how to treat them because of the information we're learning about fascia.
So you were a pioneer.
Yeah.
In terms of paying attention to, figuring out what was wrong with you. A lot of people end up in their field just if they have pain. How can I not have it anymore? Okay, so you discovered this is what it was. What was done? What did you do in order to relieve the pain?
Yeah, so I started taking the science and trying to figure out how do I treat my fascia. And most of the treatments were through therapeutic intervention. So craniosacral therapy, visceral manipulation, rolfing, things like this. So I took a nosedive into those practices, but nobody was really talking about fascia as a system. It was myofascia, its relationship to muscles. It was always a part of something else. But as I continued to dive a little more deeply into it, I really think fascia is the system that allows us to feel it. We would call it a connective tissue. Traditionally, that's what people call it because it looks like a tissue. But if you look at it microscopically, it's actually a sensory organ. It's an organ of awareness. So when you say, I feel something, you're able to feel because fascia is allowing the sensory nerves to receive information, send it to your brain, decode it, and then you have a sensation.
So throughout the body,
it's everywhere.
Fascia exists.
Everywhere. It's in every nook and cranny of your body. It's in the orbital conjunctive groove of your eyes. It's in your ears. It's everywhere. It's surrounding, supporting, and infused. If I removed every other tissue, substance, and organ in your system, we could actually see the full shape of the human body because of fascia. It is like a three-dimensional scaffolding looking structure that is infused through things. It's not just the wrapper around things. Collagen actually is penetrating from your skin, through your bones, all the way into every cell.
Okay, so I am definitely a layperson. I don't really understand. So I want to go a little bit more simply because I'm assuming other people are like this too. Like my husband is completely fascinated by fascia. I'm going to show you something in a minute that is his joy about this. But for me, I'm very much, I don't really understand.
So I'm going to make this simple. So first of all, fascia is literally the biological fabric of your body. Your nervous system and your fascia co-evolved to create your form. You look the way you do because of fascia, but this is a great analogy.
Good.
So if you think of fascia like a sponge, this would be your skin. And then under your skin, you have this first layer called superficial fascia. And this is where we have a lot of sensory nerves. This is where lymphatics are. This is how we jump dump waste out of the body. And so fascia, when it's hydrated, is a tension compression management system. So you can pull or compress on the tissue. It reacts to it. And then when you let the tension go, ideally it bounces back to its ideal shape. However, as we age, we're kind of more like a dried out sponge. So we go and we sit for long periods of time in these postures.
I'm a dried out sponge.
Yes, exactly. And then when we get up, the tissue does not bounce back. It kind of stays in this stuck state.
So that's your great grandmother.
Exactly. And so like, and even if you don't have pain, we've all experienced this. Like when I always say, when you sit for long periods of time and you get up and you kind of feel like you've aged 40 years because you kind of have to unfurl yourself from the posture. And that's your fascia talking to you. That's why movement's also so important, because as we start moving, that's what works the fluid back into the sponge. The problem is, as we age, the fluid perfusion of fascia declines. And where it loves to accumulate in stiffness is around our joints, where fascia is extra durable. So your first signs are going to be, I feel stiff, but I get up and I move around and I'm not so stiff.
So that means the fascia is working.
It's moving, right? That the tissue is hydrated enough to move. But if you keep practicing the same repetitive postures, movements, habits, the tissue begins to respond, not necessarily in a positive way. And now suddenly you're noticing that one or more joints is starting to ache you, or your neck or your low back are always tense. And if you do what most people do when you get those symptoms, you pop a pill to kind of quell the symptoms. I always say it's kind of like you're curling your hair in the morning, you're making toast at the same time, your fire alarm goes off, and you run over to the fire alarm and take the batteries out so that you don't hear the alarm, but the toaster is what's on fire. So we tend to be very symptom driven in our world of self-care. Is we do things after we have a problem, we're very reactive. So melt, and what I try to educate people on is that fascia is a renewable resource. If just day to day for 10 minutes, you actually address the stuck stress in fascia and you boosted the fluid flow of your fascial tissue, you would help support your bones, your muscles, your nerves, your organs to function efficiently. If you are somebody who's consistently taking meds though, that does a bigger thing. It is like you're exhausting your own nervous system. And so now your nervous system is actually managing this unbalanced place of stress to repair. And if you stay in that overstressed state, your nervous system kind of thinks that's the balanced place. And that's the problem, is that all you need to do is get sick and the cup runneth over. And now you really have real problems.
So people take all kinds of medications.
Unfortunately, we are a very symptom-driven world.
So if you are taking medications, can the fascia work still work?
Yes, in fact, you actually need it more. You need to treat your fascia more, because the symptom of a lot of these medications is swelling, inflammation, right? Like my mom, she has high blood pressure and the doctors give her amlodipine, but her blood pressure remains high. And they're like, oh, just give her 2 of those pills. And now her legs have swollen up. And then they're like, oh, we'll just give her a pee pill. And I'm like, wait a minute. So you caused another problem, and now we're going to take another medication to fix the problems that your medication causes. Maybe we should look at a initial problem to solution result here, because I think we're kind of missing something.
And so did you actually go and advocate on her behalf?
Yes, I'm like my mom's advocate. My mother would probably not be on the planet if we left it to her. And this is a problem in our medical world, is if you are older and you don't have an advocate who's asking questions, you just believe the doctors, right?
Yeah, because you don't, and they're very strong.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I've talked my mother out of surgeries. I've gotten into arguments with the doctors, but whatever. You know, you have to be your own self-care advocate. That the doctors practice curing you. They don't practice prevention. They are not proactive. They are reactive practitioners. You have a problem, they're looking for a symptom and then how they can resolve it. But very few times do we go after the cause of the problem. Doctors don't care what the cause is. They just want to fix the problem. But in the end, if you don't treat the cause, you start getting low-grade inflammation. And as the tissue becomes more inflamed, again, if you're taking a lot of medication, you're probably dealing with inflammation in the body. And that then again slows down your digestive behavior. Now you're gaining weight, your body's hurting, your body's not assimilating toxins and waste efficiently. And you're just walking yourself into aging and illness. And again, the medical industry is not here to solve these problems. They know medicine, and they're going to give you a medicine to fix your problem.
And you called it the medical industry because that's what it is.
And it's a practice. The doctors are practicing. So I call it a medical practice. They're practicing on you. Make no mistake about it. They're practicing on you. Every one of us. It's the same thing as like high cholesterol. There is no scientific evidence, not one clinical scientific evidence that says high LDL is linked to heart disease. Zero.
Really?
Zero. Yeah. Go do that research, and suddenly you're like, well, why are they giving us all of this medication? I said, riddle me that, Batman. Money. It's industry, right? And now what do they keep doing with the cholesterol numbers? They keep lowering it to get more people on statins. Are we not like, the Food and Drug Administration? I don't want to call a spade, but
are y'all listening?
The Food and Drug Administration should not be the same thing. They're giving us bad food so that we have to take their drugs. And so we really, again, we need to wake up to the fact that if you want to live a resilient life, don't look at your doctor to give you the solutions. You really have to seek outside of the medical world to be healthy and not just age longer. I mean, medicine has helped us live longer, but there's no assurance that you're going to live better longer. Sure. Better longer is on us.
Better longer. Hey guys, this is Dream Leapers. I'm your host, Harriette Cole. We are talking with Sue Hitzmann about how to live longer better. How to live longer better. Don't you like that idea? I think so. So this is also a radical approach, some would say, because we're, in the sense of putting ourselves up against the Food and Drug Administration, the medical community. And I have this discussion with my husband so often. He completely, 100% does not believe in modern medicine.
I love your husband.
He will not go to the doctor. He will not anything. Now, I actually don't fully agree with him. I think that what is true about the modern medical world is that diagnostics are good. They figure out what's wrong with you.
Preventative maintenance and preventative measurement is of the utmost importance, and we can do it now with full body MRIs.
Right.
There's so many ways.
So the diagnostics part of Western medicine, you don't agree with that either?
No.
That part is good.
100%.
You find out what's wrong with you.
Right.
And then, this is what I say to him, find out what's wrong with you, and then you can decide what you're going to do about it.
Yeah.
You don't have to take the drugs that they want to give you. But if you know that you have something, then you can decide, you can do the research, you can go down whatever rabbit hole you want and figure out what you want to do. Is that fair?
Yes, but I'm going to throw a bomb here.
Okay, well,
I'm going to throw a bomb.
This is for you, George.
Okay, especially I'm going to talk to like women who are over the age of 50, if you've gone through menopause and you want to do HRT. To get a full blood panel, come to find, your regular doctor will not do a full blood panel. They will do a limited panel to look at your basic hormone level, and then they want you in the normal range, not optimal, just normal. And what I want people to understand is that the average middle American is actually below what science defines as normal. Normal is a reference point of neutral. We're not neutral. We're overweight. We have high cholesterol. We have diabetes, cancer. I mean, it's rampant. The other problem with this is a lot of the tests that you ideally could get aren't covered by your insurance.
And
there's the bigger problem is that when you need your insurance half of the time, it's not going to cover anything. You want a full body MRI? That's on you. You want a full blood panel? That's on you.
And so then you have to have the money.
Exactly. And so it becomes an expense. And so I'm wondering, why do we spend so much money on insurance that isn't able to help us prevent things? And I'm going to say it again. The Food and Drug Administration isn't interested in preventing you from getting ill. They need us they don't want us to be sick. They need us to be sick because they need us to buy their pharmaceuticals because they have people who are investors and they need to pay their investors. I'm sorry, this is true. I don't want to sound like
no, this is a fair point. And again, look, I listen to this every day. So okay. I hear you.
Thank you.
And all I'm getting at is diagnostics in Western medicine
100%.
Are good.
Yes.
What you do after
is your choice.
But to find out if there's something going on in your body is a good thing. No?
Yes, and I think diet and mindset should be at your
and
sleep
diet,
hygiene,
movement, right?
Diet, movement, the sleep hygiene is really important. Getting to sleep at the same time, waking up at the same time, and actually waking up without an alarm clock because you have your circadian cadence so perfect. If I go to sleep at 10, I'm waking up at 6:58, 2 minutes before that alarm would go off anyway. My body's in that flow. We don't do that. People are on their tablets until 11 o'clock at night. That blue light is...
Or much later.
Yes, exactly. Increasing your cortisol levels. This is decreasing your ability to fall asleep and stay asleep and heal your body, because that's where fascia heals you, is at night, when your parasympathetic or rest and repair system should be dominant. It's not dominant because half the people aren't sleeping, right?
So I want to talk about sleep.
Yeah.
Because first of all, I'm guilty of not sleeping enough, although I know, so I pay attention to it and make the effort. Not enough because I'm still not sleeping enough. But I think most people don't sleep enough. Doesn't make it right. I think it makes it true. So we have to change our patterns. Can you talk about changing habits, changing behavior? Because I think that's the hardest thing to do.
It is. It's easy to produce a bad habit.
Yeah.
It's so simple. You could, smoke a cigarette 3 times and suddenly you're hooked, right? Trying to get off that cigarette will take you 55, maybe 100 practice tries before you finally stop doing it. So with sleep, there's just, again, a few things. Is about 2 hours before you're going to go to bed, you could do breath work entrainment. You could sit and just quiet, turn down the lights, turn your television off, maybe put some music on. It's hygiene. It's preparing for your sleep cycle. Sleeping with an eye mask on, sleeping in a cool room, again, getting to bed at relatively the same time every night, and waking up. This is like the 101 of actually helping your blood pressure, your cortisol levels, your heart rate variability, your vagal tone, things that actually keep you healthy over a lifetime. That's number one, is that we don't take enough care of sleep hygiene.
Right.
Then with nutrition, same thing, is trying to eat at relatively the same amount of time. And I instill this idea of the PFC3, protein, fat, carbs, in every 3 hours, that you want to have a little bit of protein, a little bit of carbohydrate, a little bit of fat.
Every 3 hours?
Every 3 hours. Just even a few hundred calories will actually keep your blood sugar balanced. We know blood sugar is really important. Yeah. And that blood sugar being balanced will also help your gut microbiomes. A lot of us are not eating healthy foods. You're eating things from a box. Don't eat packaged foods. Don't eat processed foods. If you want to live better longer, those are 3 very simple things that you can do.
Okay, so every 3 hours. Okay, I got to break all this down. It's a lot of things. The eating every 3 hours, I think a lot of people will look at that and go, but I'm going to get fat.
Yeah.
So
the opposite. The opposite. Actually, what will tend to happen is if you, let's say you eat in the morning and then you're like, I'm not going to eat all day because I don't want those calories in my body. But now what your nervous system is doing is it's actually slowing your metabolism down. And the older you get, the slower it's going to get, because you're not giving it the nutrients it needs. And then at night you go home and you could put peanut butter on a shoe and you'll eat that because you're so hungry because you didn't eat all day. And now you're sort of in that emotional dis-ease, if you will. And I think that that's a big thing, is keeping your mental, your mindset really sharp as to what you're eating and why you're eating what you're eating. A lot of people, like have emotional eating. My boyfriend is just like this. He starts getting stressed out and he will just find anything. It could just be a block of cheese and you pick it up and start eating it. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what is happening? But so we almost get blindsided by these emotional cues of our mind trying to create calm in the body. And when we eat food, that brings us into a parasympathetic state.
So what are some healthy foods that people could eat in this 3 hour cycle?
Yeah. Okay. So we want really high quality fiber. So things to add to your day would be like things like black beans. That's like such an easy thing. Dark leafy greens. Those are great sources of fiber that even if you just had like a tablespoon of black beans every 3 hours, that would really help your digestion, your gut microbiome, and your blood sugar, number one. Proteins, if you're not eating meat proteins, which would be the most ideal, right? Fish, chicken, meat. You have to get things that have sources of protein. So, it could be like a little bit of peanut butter with, like some other element of protein. You're just looking for the amino acids.
What do you think about tofu?
I'm not a big fan of tofu.
Because it's processed?
Because it's processed. I mean, if we were in Japan and we were having like pure, maybe, But I think it's a little bit, I think it's over processed in our world today. And then fats, I would go with things like avocado, you know, anything that's a good source of healthy fat, like olive oil, things like that.
Did you get all of that?
It's really simple, actually. I think we make it hard because we just get in a rush. People say that they don't have time. And I'm like, you've got all the time in the world until you're sick, and then you have no time.
Well, exactly. What about fruit?
I love fruit. Fruit is another one. People say, oh, don't eat fruit. There's sugar, this, that, and the other thing. But these have polyphenols in them, like blueberries are really great. You know, like, so berries are awesome. Cantaloupe. All of these kind of, like, anything bright as a fruit is great. Same thing though, here's the big bomb here, is portion control. Right? So you don't eat a bowl of blueberries, you just eat a handful. Right? You don't eat a whole avocado, you eat a quarter. So serving sizes are important, and I think that's something I think we need a little bit more education on. And I got introduced to that when I was younger, and my dad was calling me a heifer in 9th grade. Ooh. And I went on a diet with a girlfriend of mine. And I just remember there being this portion control. And one of the big things that was glaring was cereal. And it said half a cup of cereal with a quarter cup of milk. And so I measured it out and I was like, is that it? So I had been eating a bowl of cereal in the morning. That was 4 servings. And now you look at how much sugar is in those frosted flakes or whatever it was I was eating, and I'm getting 80 grams of sugar in a single sitting. Goodness. That's more than I need in a day. And so that's just it. It takes a little bit of time to understand portion size, and if you're eating moderate, correct portions every 3 hours, you don't get the hunger spikes. You don't get the blood sugar spikes, and you're going to sleep better. You're going to stay asleep longer. You're going to wake up feeling more refreshed.
One of the fruits that my husband is, he's looking at pairings of food. So oatmeal and pomegranate.
That's brilliant.
And it's
your husband is a smart dude.
He pays very close attention.
That's excellent.
And it's an odd thing to eat together, but it actually tastes pretty good. After you tell your mind these things can go together.
Yeah,
you know?
Yogurt's also
and
a great
blueberries,
source. Blueberries, absolutely. And of course, water, which I'm going to go ahead and grab my water, because this is another thing that we don't do, is we don't sip water frequently enough, and we're not eating enough water-filled foods, which is why those fruits and vegetables are also important.
Water-filled foods. There's so many things to think about. And you have some tools here.
I do.
So tell me about what your tools are.
So this is a melt hand and foot therapy kit. I'm going to give you one of these. So
the melt method, you haven't told me what that is.
Yes. So melt is a fascia-focused self-care system that teaches people how to address stuck stress in their fascia. And fascia, again, is this supportive infrastructure under your skin that really dictates how you move, how you feel, how you recover, and how you age. And so daily living, again, is making sediment in your rivers flow. And so we use these soft tools to create gentle compression and tensional techniques, because again, fascia is a tension compression management system. And so we teach people how to treat, like with the hand and foot therapy balls, your hands and feet are like sensory portals. We don't really think about it, but if you lost the function of your hands or your feet, your world gets awfully small, right? It's actually not back pain that makes older adults not move, it's foot pain. And your feet, if you're suffering with neck or back pain, your feet and your hands are probably the first thing that you should start treating. Because if your nervous system's not getting information in through your hands properly, it fixates to your neck. If you're not getting information through your feet, it causes pelvic instability. So anybody that's ever come to me as a practitioner with neck or low back pain, very first thing I do is hands and feet.
Okay, before we jump into that, let me remind folks, this is Dream Leapers. We are going all in. We're learning about fascia. The fascia, did you even know you had that? It's all over your body. That's what Sue's letting us know. And we're now going into what we can do to take, well, we've been talking about it the whole while, but what tools we can use.
Yes. So the hand and foot therapy balls, and there's different sizes. There's a bunion band for anybody dealing with bunions. That was one of the big things for me. My mom and I were at the beach when I was in my 20s, and she looked at my toe and said, "Oh, your toe is going to look like mine." And I looked at her toe and I was like,
and you're like, "No,
okay, I got to stop this from happening like right now." And I came up with this idea of taking a rubber band and wrapping around my toes and doing some strength work. And I have kept my bunion at bay.
Wow.
For 55 years now, thank God. But the hand and foot therapy kit definitely is a real entry for people.
So what do you do? What do I do with this ball?
So we would do, like, first of all, we would do an assessment called a grip assess. And this is one of the things about assessment is first you have to identify, is stuck stress living in your body? So if you squeeze the ball back and forth in your hands, what you want to notice is, does one hand have a stronger grip than the other? And you might notice that actually, oh yeah, one hand I kind of can't squeeze the ball as fast as or strong as I can. And that again is neurological. So then we would do things like gliding, shearing, and rinsing. So we would gently glide the ball back and forth on the base of the hand. We would put the ball at the thumb pad and do shearing, so a pinning of the skin to create a fluid exchange. And then we would rinse. We would draw the fluids from one part of the body to another through a rinsing cycle.
This is rinsing.
It's one direction. So gliding, so gliding is preparatory. So if you even just take your hand on your forearm, if you were to run your hand over your forearm, that's gliding. If you were to pin the skin and drag the underlying substances, that's a shear. That's kind of like working fluid into a sponge. And then rinsing would be like putting your hand in a tub of water. You're going to go in one direction so that as the energy starts to move in the fluid, in the fascia.
And do you do this with the ball or just?
You could do it with the ball.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we also have, this is one of our newer products. You can toss that back in there. This is one of our newer products, which I'm absolutely in love with. It's called the Fascia Hydrator. I'm going to hand this to you. I'm going to turn it on. So this is a low frequency vibration. And so this, what you have right now is 40 hertz frequency. And this is like a sweet spot for the body. Your lymphatic system, which is part of your immune regulation, for most of us is bogged down. And especially for women, if your tissue is a little bit thick, you're actually doing really well. You should be able to pull up on your skin and let it go, and it should bounce back quickly. For a lot of people, it's so thick and stiff that the superficial fascia has slowed down in fluid movement. That's where unused hormones live. That's where lymphocytes take toxins out of your body, metabolites that you don't use are there. So we need the fluids moving. So this technique, so the lymphatic drainage, I would be working right at the lymph node regions, stimulating these through really gentle compression and going through each area where we have lymph nodes. And this again just helps.
And this is to do every day. So
exactly.
So
yep, pinning the skin, exactly, and creating kind of a massage of the tissue.
Okay.
And so that's one of the techniques, is the lymphatic drainage. Then we have this 70 hertz frequency, and much like what I just showed you with the balls, is that we could do gliding.
Great.
Yeah, so right over the skin surface, this is stimulating the superficial layers. This is going to drive fluids from fascia to lymph. And then I could pin the skin with the textured side. And so now instead of rubbing the device over your skin and pinning the skin, this is going to work the fluid into the sponge. It creates more neural signaling down to the muscle. And then I could turn it to the 90 hertz frequency, and I could either do a lymphatic rinsing to draw this here, or I could go down and up to create a cyclical motion in the fascial system. And it's literally that simple. And then there's also an oscillating frequency on this, and this is for breathwork entrainment. And this is a really big secret for anybody who's really struggling with sleep. Breathwork entrainment is simply saying that there's an outside source, and just hang on to that, you'll feel it. There's an outside source that's going to help you with paced breathing. And what research is showing is that a 6-second inhalation, feeling and following that vibration go up, and then a 6-second exhale, which is actually easier said than done. A lot of people will breathe in and then hold their breath, waiting for the vibration to go down. But it's learning to actually slow down the inhale and slow down the exhale for 10 minutes can boost heart rate variability, vagal tone. These are things that help us with our overall energy, our sense of well-being, our resilience. And again, the space between heartbeats, which is where we aid in repair with the body. So simple.
Who knew?
Yeah, exactly. And so breath work has been, I think, one of the most underserved, understudied elements of healing people, right? Like whether you're stressed out, right? If you're really stressed out, you were freaking out, one of your friends would say, okay, calm down, breathe, right? We've all heard it. And that's true, is that if you're so angry, like you are going to bite somebody's head off, if you just pause for 2 seconds and just take a breath, not going to say anything, I'm just going to compose my thoughts, and then I'm going to do this thing. You will always have a better outcome.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what we need to do, is actually understand breath. It's the one autonomic function of our entire body that you can very easily consciously take over. You can't make your food digest faster. You can't make yourself go to the bathroom when you want to. It just Those are things that are autonomic. But breath is the one thing that we have to do that our own body has allowed us to consciously do too. What an amazing kind of
It's
concept.
absolutely, I mean,
it really makes you think.
I've been practicing meditation for more than 30 years. And so, you know, using the breath is a game changer.
Yes.
It can get you out of all kinds of trouble very, very quickly.
Yes.
I have to show you something that my husband has created.
Love that.
So
I live for these kind of coils too.
So let me set us up here. So
such a
we
representation
spend the summer in Sag Harbor, and my husband's a photographer, and he travels the beach shooting nature. And he started coming upon these, I think they're called whelks.
Yeah.
And you know, with the shell on, and then he's been studying fascia. He says, I think I can make a fascia tool. Literally. This is a tool that he said that you can go in between the fingers and the toes.
Exactly. We do this.
Right.
I love your husband. I think I should interview him on anatomical.
You should.
He's clearly
you should. Actually, you can't even imagine the conversation. All the research that you're talking about, he's in it totally.
Yeah. So we use small balls and we create a break point between the tendons. And so what happens when people get arthritis as we age?
Yes.
Well, before we get arthritis, your hands have actually swollen and you're missing it. So we get a lot of people that when I have them do this technique and they put the ball in between, you should get a pitting between the tendons. You should see it.
That's a smaller one, right?
Exactly. Yep. So you kind of curl your fingers between it and squeeze. You see how there's not, here's where we want to see a ridge. And so you're losing a little bit.
So I don't have a ridge there, especially this hand. Let's see if there's a better ridge on this one. Oops, it won't even stay.
I mean, your tendons are moving really, you can see how they raise up?
Yeah.
So this is a good side.
This side is better than this side.
Yes, I'm going to agree with that.
Which is odd because I'm right-handed.
But that's it, is that a lot of us who are right-handed actually have more accumulative tension in the right side of our body. Everybody can take a test for if your fascia is actually altering your neurological system. This is a really easy thing. You're going to try this with me. So sit up really tall.
Okay.
You're better off if you were standing, but you can sit. So I don't know if you guys will be able to see. Can you still see my hand all the way up here? Yeah. Okay, so you're going to raise your hand up high with your finger held high. You're going to close your eyes. And on the count of 3, I want you to take your left index finger and touch just the tip of your right index finger, nothing else. 1, 2, 3. Reach up there and touch it. Exactly. See how she missed?
I missed. I totally missed.
So let's try it on the other side. So bring this arm down, bring the other arm up, close your eyes, reach up and touch that finger. You see how she misses?
I missed.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Wow.
Your finger is attached to you. Why don't you know where it is?
I don't know.
So a lot of people do, right? They close their eyes. I have people literally, they're like,
wow, I totally missed.
Right? Or they have to kind of crawl their finger up.
Wow.
So your joints are kind of like satellites, and your nervous system is trying to figure out where those joints are in relationship to gravity. And you're in your own center, your pelvis. And so for a lot of us, again, we're stuck stress, and fascia loves to accumulate our joints. And so when those satellites kind of get full of stuck stress, your nervous system loses accuracy. Now, this might not look like a big deal to, who cares, Sue? I can't touch my finger. But your
I care.
Yes, exactly. Your accuracy of how you pick up things, your sense of the world around you declines. It's the same thing as if you just stood on one leg and you just try to balance on one foot. If your ankle wavers around a ton, you are again noticing accumulated tension in your body. Your nervous system is having a hard time finding your center of gravity in relationship to your footing. That's going to increase back tension, increase hips tightness, causes tension around your knees. You have pain. So again, I think the thing is, I call things pre-pain signals. Well before we ever have pain, our bodies are sending us alert signs all the time. We ignore them. We don't know that there's signals of problems, but I'm kind of like the person screaming and yelling at people saying, hey, if you wake up feeling as stiff as a dried out sponge left out overnight on your kitchen sink, or you sit for long periods of time and you get up and you literally can't unfurl yourself from the posture, you have got to start treating fascia. You have to sip water more frequently, eat more water-filled foods, get to bed on time, move more. But I'm telling you, actually addressing the fascial tissue through tension compression techniques is what's missing in people's worlds.
So I know that something like an umbrella thing that you talk about is longevity.
Yes.
And I'm going to say out loud that I turned 65 on Saturday.
And you look fantastic.
And I feel a difference though in my body.
Oh yeah, right? And every decade you're like,
and recently I've been working on a book, so I've been sitting at a computer like this. And then, when you get up, it's like, the watch says get up every 10 minutes and you don't.
Yes.
Isn't it time to take a break? Isn't it time to take a break?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? So, and I come from a family of people, of old people. My mother passed away recently at 95.
Beautiful.
Her mother at 101.
Yeah.
So how do we inspire longevity so that if we are fortunate enough to live long, that we can have vital lives?
Yeah, well, first,
because I don't just want to live.
Yes.
I want to live a vital life.
Yes, live. And that's it, is resilience, vitality. That's what we want to maintain. And the thing about longevity is all these biohackers are telling you, like, this is, you're going to biohack yourself. I'm like, I don't really believe it, because I'm looking at you, you look kind of worn out, right? So you can pill yourself to death thinking you're going to take the right supplements, you're going to take the right pills, you're going to do peptides. But if your foundation is faulty, none of that's going to work. And when I mean foundation, I mean, are you happy? Are you living a resilient life? Are you living the life that you believe you should be living? And a lot of people say no, or I'll say to people, what's your purpose? And they're like, I'm not sure what my purpose is. And I said, sit still with that for 5 minutes, because we all are here for purpose. None of us are just born here randomly. I don't think that it is that way.
Sure.
I think we all meet one another at the right time. I think, crap happens to us, but these are ways that we learn. This is how we grow. This is how we experience the human experience. And that, I think, is the thing we struggle with, is purpose and happiness and joy. That should be your 101. I would ask your mom and your grandmother, were they happy people?
Yes.
Yeah. And that's it. Did they have love in their life? Did they have community? Did they have friends? And
my mother has friends. She just passed away almost a year ago. At her 95th birthday party, there were 6 people who were between 94 and 100. And 3 of them are still living.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's it. Amazing. You've got to have friends. You've got to have friends and love and joy. And most importantly, you have to love yourself, no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter how much shame we have, no matter the embarrassment, no matter how much stupid stuff we do, at the fundamental basis, we have to know thyself, love thyself, and trust thyself, because that's your foundation.
Hey guys, we have 5 minutes left. Can you believe it? I'm reminding you, this is Dream Leapers with Harriette Cole. We are going all in with Sue Hitzmann about how can we love ourselves and take care of ourselves. So in these few minutes that we have left, we hear people say this all the time, what you just said. You have to love yourself. What in the world does that mean? Because it's hard for people to, especially we live in a culture that says you have to look like this, you have to be like this. The ads are everywhere. Everywhere there's something that says if you are like this, then you are deserving of love. So what does it mean, Sue, to you to love yourself?
Yeah, well, first of all, my friend Marquis said it the other day. People don't love you because you're nice or you're beautiful. People love you because they're brilliant and they see you. They're brilliant, right? That's why that is, because they see you. I think that when we just need to be who we want to be. And I think we live in a culture where you're right. We should dress a particular way. I don't have the right outfit on. Will this boy like me? I've got to have this job and make this much money. And we're defined by things. But in the end of the day, you just have to remember you don't get to leave with your body or your mind, but your spirit and your soul, that you get to keep. So really at the root of who you are is to find what gives you joy and be around people who amplify that joy and who cheer you on. If you're around people who are saying you shouldn't do that, that's like my mother. I don't think that's a good idea. So if I listened to my mom, I would not have done anything. I don't think it's good that you done that, or you shouldn't.
And to
that's
that
exactly
point,
what she
but
sounds
to
like
that point, you can love them anyway.
You
because
can love them anyway.
All of us have people in our lives who we don't want to discard, right? They're parents and close family and even some close friends. We forgive them for those things.
Yeah.
But some people we need to let go.
Yes. Yeah. And sometimes we have to take like a mommy diet and a daddy diet and just like take a little break from them. But, you know, I really do. I think that if you have a passion and also I always feel like if somebody's struggling with that identity, with who you are, that don't keep that to yourself.
Right.
I think that's the problem is that when you're not living what you feel you should, we actually cause self-inflicted pain. We isolate ourselves. So when you're struggling, that's where you need to find the right person to sit with, who's not going to judge you, who is going to listen and is just going to let you talk it out and not sit there and say, you know what you should do, Harriette. Let me tell you, because that's my great.
You should do.
What should I do? You know, but that's it. It's like, but I don't want to do anything more. I want somebody to help me with this. So gaining help is something that we all deserve to have. Is help and support. And again, you got to trust yourself that if you feel something, stop thinking your way through life. Feel your way through it. And that's, again, fascia. You are taking information in through this fascial system. So when you get a gut instinct or you have intuition, never go against it, because that is your frequency of fascia vibrating itself into knowing.
Like this vibration right here. Wait. Before we go, I just have to turn it on.
It's so good. And this is it, that after you use this, your whole body will continue to, it creates a resonant field around you. And that's what you have to do.
And it feels really good, you guys. It's a very loving feeling.
Yeah.
That's what I would say, that it's really, really nice. The one thing that I say that's similar, what made me think of when you were just saying that is, I say surround yourself with people. How do I turn it off? Surround yourself with people who will tell you the truth the way that you were able to hear it.
Yeah, beautiful.
Because people will tell you the truth, but sometimes it feels like a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you want the sledgehammer, you know, whatever it is that you want. Sue Hitzmann, thank you. The MELT method, these incredible tools that are infused with love. I can feel it. Can you? Thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, have a great day and make it count.